Hi, Daryl from Darbeth here. In our previous video we talked about getting your videos in your lockdown period for your businesses and some tips for just helping you get them working. And this time we're going to be touching on the videos that you use to go out to your customers. Just a bit of a reminder, make sure you get the lighting right. This applies to any video that you do, and that is basically coming from in front but on the side and not behind. Put some time into getting the audio. That's the hardest part to get correct, and then make sure you get the framing right, which is a pretty good rule of thumb is to get your eyes about a third of the way down from the top of the screen, approximately. It doesn't have to be exactly there, but approximately in that area, and that will make things work. Now, getting on to videos that you use for customers. These are mainly recorded videos, although in some cases they can be live streamed as well. But being recorded videos, you have a little bit more latitude in other areas and not so much in others. You've got to put a bit more time into preparation and getting them organised, and that is really the first tip, is to make sure that you have a plan. It is just so easy to stand up in front of a camera when you're pretty sure you know what you're going to say, and then all of a sudden your brain just goes blank. So just have your plan and have a fairly confident understanding of what it is that you want to get across on there, and that will help you to appear as confident when you're talking to your customers as well, which is one of the key things that you want to do. Now, for your videos for customers in particular, have a look at the background. Just make sure that it is free of clutter and distraction. You won't see anything in this particular case because we're standing in front of a black backdrop, and that's intentional. But wherever you are, you might be shooting in your office, you're shooting at your desk or somewhere like that. Just take a step out of camera and have a look and seeing what the camera sees, and seeing if there's anything in that background behind you which could be distracting. The other tip for the background is to step away from it. Don't stand actually at the background itself, otherwise you and the background become one and the same. So just take even one step makes a big difference, and just is enough separation on there. Now, when you're dealing with your customers, it is important that they see your face. It's important across the board. But for customers, I'd suggest that means you don't use a headset, so that you get more of your face there. It's a more natural look. It might be possible in some cases, and it won't cause you any problems with your customers. But generally speaking, you don't want to have a headset that gets in the way of people seeing your facial expression, seeing what you really mean about something, because that is the purpose of video, so that your emotions and your expressions come across, and it's more than just words on paper. There is the understanding behind that. Now, to take away headset that you might be using for your live streaming internally means you need to pay attention to your microphones. Now, I'm using a lapel mic. That is probably the easiest way to sort that out. I'd suggest not to use the mics on cameras or video cams, or the webcams I should say. They tend to produce a lot of echo. When you hear it against a recorded mic like this, there is a world of difference. It just makes things so much clearer. And you may or may not be able to get some with that are radio based. If you can't, make sure you get a long extension cable that go from where you are to where the camera is, and that way it just makes the sound so much clearer. The other reason for using microphones like this is that they cut out a lot more of the surrounding sound. There's lots of things that just go on in the office around you or wherever you are. You can't always stop them happening. You're not in a professional studio, so you don't have as much control over those sorts of things, and having a lapel mic makes it a lot easier to just focus on the area around you instead of capturing everything else around you. So that is another key input. And the price of good quality lapel mics, I mean good quality lapel mics, is not that hard to bear. The one that I'm using, just the microphone itself, which will clip into a typical phone camera, is under $100. So yeah, that's for broadcast quality, which is sort of really unheard of in that area. Normally I wouldn't look at a microphone which is under $150, let alone broadcast quality. So they are really good in that respect. So we've talked about the lighting, having a plan, getting your sound right, the actual plan for what you want to say, and the way that you put it together is something you need to consider. When you have your plan, don't just put down what you want to say, but have another column beside it that says how we are going to deliver that. And that will make a big difference to what you do on screen, because you're not thinking about how you're going to put those sorts of things across. You might want to have some props at hand to demonstrate what it is that you're talking about. And you have them handy. You might want to have them on a table, which is easily seen, and you can bring them out at the appropriate time. You might want to have them completely off camera and then brought in. But you think about that in your plan. That will make life a lot easier for you when you're doing that. Also, when you start speaking on camera, make that the one that is going to get the attention of your audience, the people you're talking to. Get that first up. It is very easy for people to want to put the title screen up very quickly. That does not work in today's environment. My suggestion is that you would have 1 or 2 sentences that gets their attention. Then you go to your title screen and you only make that short, say 10 to 15 seconds, and then carry on from that. That is just the way things are with the attention span that we've got today. If people see a title screen, they'll just flick it through unless they've got some other reason to have a look at your video. So that's my suggestion, is to have your attention getting intro, then your title screen, and then go on to the body. Now at the end of your video, you will also need some sort of an outro screen that does 2 things. It gives them the contact details for you so that they know what your phone number is, or your email address, or your web address, whatever is appropriate for your video. And it also has the actions that you want them to take as a result of this video. So a typical thing would be to get them to call you based on this number to follow up on the points that you were talking about in the video. But carry that through as your end screen, and that will make life a lot easier for you when people know what it is that you're expecting them to do. Now, how do you put all of that together? Most people in businesses do not have editing software. There is one that I have seen, I've used it a little bit, and it seems to be simple enough for most people to use, called Shotcut. So I suggest having a look at that, and that way you can sort of trim your videos down and just do some simple editing and putting those screens in that we're talking about. Another thing that I have tried is to use PowerPoint. You can run the video in PowerPoint, and then you can put titles and things like that over the top of the video and your end plates as you're going. I wouldn't suggest that as a permanent solution. I've tried it to prove the point, and it does work, but it is a little bit cumbersome, but it is something that a lot of people in offices have access to without having to go out and spend money. So there's some tips for you to help you get your videos better. There's a limit to what you can do in these areas. These are not designed to be Steven Spielberg type videos, but if you need any further help to get something which is a little bit more complex than what we just spoken about, then give us a call and we'll sort things through for you. Catch you around.